Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 75 of the Rock and Roll Beer Guy podcast. This episode is brought to you by Wendigo Tea. Go to the website, wendigotea.com. That's wendigotea.com. And check out their selection of teas that they got there. They're all organic, hand-picked. My buddy Sky, formerly of the band Foxy Shazam, travels the world looking for some of the best ingredients he can find. And let me tell you a little bit about the Yeti. It's one of the ones that he sent me. They get all these leaves and they roll them and dry them and they put them in little bundles. They look like little porcupines made up of these white, hairy little tea leaves. And you could use it multiple times, so it's not just like a one drop and go. You can use it multiple times and you get this nice little earthy, delicate tea that's super refreshing. I highly recommend it, and check out all their other ones. Go check it out, and when you buy the tea, put the promo code RRBG, and you can get 15% off. Don't forget to check out our Patreon page. That's patreon.com/rockandrollbeerguy. Check it out. You'll see a bunch of exclusive content that I've been putting out from the Psycho Las Vegas interviews. There'll be more to come. We'll have exclusive merch, posters that I'm going to be putting out, posters, pins, a bunch of stuff that's coming. Go check it out. Sign up. For $5, you get access to all of the content that's exclusive to just the patrons. And there's a bunch of other tiers. Just check it out, support the podcast, and become part of the club. Too sweet. All right. Anyway. In this episode, I talked to Travis Miguel. He's a guitarist for the band Atreyu. We talk about their new album, what inspires him, what some of his influences are. We talk about his career in the past, working with bands like Trapped, and a couple other projects he's got going on. Not to mention, he announces that they are working on a beer with a local brewery, so hopefully by the time you're listening to this, they have made an announcement. Anyway, I want to thank him for swinging by the studio, and I had a really great time talking to him, and I hope you will enjoy it as well. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Cheers. Welcome, everyone, to the Rock and Roll Beer Guy podcast. I'm sitting here with Travis Miguel of the band Atreyu. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, man. How are you doing?
Doing okay. Kind of in this weird vibe of post-Psycho Las Vegas where I did like 16 interviews with bands. And nice. I'm like just firing from the hip now. Just like
yeah, you got it down.
I'm knocking them all out and did one today. And now we're here.
How was Psycho Las Vegas?
Dude, it was quite an experience.
We did the whole weekend?
I did 4 days.
Nice.
Kind of almost 5 days because Monday morning was a waste.
Right. Yeah, I can imagine.
I woke up and everybody had left the room. I was staying with Alex from Orange Amps and our buddy.
So yeah, it was a good weekend.
Jared, I'm sorry. Yeah, so it was Jared and Alex, and I woke up and I was alone in the room. I'm like,
that's a good sign.
Oh, everybody's gone. I'm the only one. I'm hungover. It was, checkout wasn't for another hour, but I took my time to get out of there. But it was good. We did like 16 interviews. Alex was supposed to do them with me, and at the end he was like, "No, man, it was never part of the plan. I wanted you to have it." So all the videos will just be me talking to like Andrew WK and
nice
Dimmu Borgir and. Coven, which was the biggest surprise for me. I wasn't expecting that. Jinx, I don't know if you know who Coven is. They're from the 60s.
I've heard the name for sure.
So apparently Jinx, the lead singer, she...
Is it all female?
Oh, no.
Okay.
She apparently invented the metal horns.
Okay, I mean, as well, most people think or was under the impression that it was...
Dio.
Right.
Right. So did I. But she went into the story about how, back in the 60s, she was using it as a hand gesture for these like secret metal parties, and the only way you can get in is by flashing the horns, and it came from there. And like
and this was like back in the 60s.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she predates apparently Dio by years, and so she's writing a book about it because apparently nobody knows that it was her.
Interesting.
I wonder how some of the metal elitists will take that. Like, a girl came up with it. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I mean the elitists are always going to have something to say.
For sure. For sure. So you guys have a new album?
We do.
This is your first one since 2015?
Correct. Yeah, so this is our seventh album. I lose track.
Yeah. I think
should know
7. Is it the second one since the long break you guys took?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So this new one is called In Our Wake. It comes out October 12th. I believe you have a video out right now for the title track.
We do.
Nice. How's that? I mean, I saw it has 67,000 in like 3 days.
Yeah, that kind of stuff, I try not to put forth too much effort into paying attention to, because I'll drive myself nuts. You know what I mean? Like, in a case like that, it's like almost like ignorance is bliss.
Okay.
For me. Yeah, because if I focus on like how many hits or how many streams or how many likes or whatever, like I said, I'll drive myself nuts.
Now, is it a thing where you always feel like it's not enough, or are you just blown away by the amount?
I don't know. It's kind of hard to say, because like whenever I have looked at like, you know, hit numbers or streams or likes, or look at the comments especially, me being the type of person I am, I tend to focus on the negative.
Right.
So like I'll be, okay, that's a positive comment, they're stoked, cool. Oh, this person hates it. And then like, oh, fuck this person. And then, you know, you start like, you click on the profile and you
go down a rabbit hole.
Right, yeah. And
of course he likes to, vote for Trump. I don't know. Whatever.
Right, exactly. So yeah, I just need to stay away from that.
No, for sure. It's a rough hole. I mean, people get in there. It happens all the time, and with anyone, comedians, anybody in entertainment.
Oh,
even
sure.
me, I'm nowhere near a level of notoriety that should even be a concern. But like, the podcast is getting a little bigger, and then if I get like a negative comment, it destroys me. It floors me. I'm like, oh my God, I'm ruined.
Yeah.
Everything sucks. I can't.
Yeah. It's just negative energy that, I'm negative enough as it is. I don't need any more negative energy coming my way. So
yeah, I mean, what is it? What is it about metal dudes? We're very negative, so to ourselves usually, very self-critical, and
yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just like, metal has always been like associated with like outcasts and rebels, or like a seedy subculture or whatever. And it's when you kind of adopt that mentality, you're like, you become proud of it. Mm-hmm. And it's like us against the world. Fuck everybody else. I don't want to have anything to do with what the people on the outside are doing or what they have to say, or and that's when I think the elitism kind of comes in. And
it's a big thing, right? Yeah. In the metal world, the elitism, like, they feel very entitled to their music. And if anybody messes with it, even the bands themselves.
Right, yeah. I think the people who are in the most danger of being on the receiving end of elitism is the bands, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about this before multiple times on the podcast, because it's such an issue for me when I hear, like, people bitching about, Poison the Well's last record was nothing like the first one. It was a completely different band. It's like, yeah, good.
Right, exactly.
Why do you want more of the same? Also, when you get to your 30s, you're not as angry as you were when you were 19 or 20, and expressing this angst, through the music.
Absolutely.
And I've been thankful that a lot of the bands I grew up with, they started off insanely heavy, and all of them kind of evolved more melodic, and I grew up with it. So as I'm maturing, the music's maturing. So it worked out for me.
Right, yeah. Same with me. A lot of people, when they latch onto a band, especially in their younger years, they tend to evolve with the band, or and I think they have somewhat of a better insight of what the band is trying to do as they get older, because they themselves are also getting older. But the younger, I guess, I don't know if you want to call it generation or listeners or whatever, they just want to hear, the most brutal, heavy stuff. They don't want anything else. Which, I mean, I was like that too when I was, 15, 16.
Sure, yeah.
So I get, neither one's right or wrong. I totally get both sides of it. But as a band, you know, when you've been doing it for a number of years, you want to do something different each time.
Something exciting.
Right. You want to grow, because otherwise it's just going to get boring for you.
Playing the same style or the same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And some bands can get away with it. You know, obviously, you know, the typical example, you know, like AC/DC.
Sure.
For the most part, has been writing the same record for 40 plus years. But that's what, you know, most people love about AC/DC. You know exactly what you're going to get. It's like pizza. Like somebody says, hey, you want a slice of pizza?
Yeah, you know what you're in for.
You know exactly what you're getting.
Yeah.
You know you're going to like it.
Yeah.
You know,
it's funny with bands like that, like AC/DC, where, you know, they've been putting out the same record, but nobody wants to hear the new stuff.
Right.
Everybody wants to hear the hits, right?
Yeah.
Then I think that has to do with the fact that they're not evolving the sound. Like if maybe they played something different, it would be a different crowd at the shows being like, I want to hear that new stuff. That new stuff is interesting or whatever it is. But no, they go to the show and they want greatest hits.
Right. And
Yeah.
I think if a band who's like AC/DC, who've been around, you know, like I said, for 40 plus years, if they were to change their sound now, then
You don't want an AC/DC dubstep record?
I mean, I don't know if I'm ready for that.
Yeah, I don't think the kids are ready for it either. I don't think anyone
Yeah.
is ready for something like that.
But yeah, I mean, if they were to like do a complete, you know, take a hard left turn, it would, I think because they've been doing it so long, I would be like, okay, that's kind of weird, guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you know, it is what it is.
For sure, man. So you, just to stay on the topic of newer things, you guys have a tour coming out with you're headlining with Memphis Mayfire, Ice Nine Kills, and Sleep Signals. Is this the first headlining tour in a while? Like, how long has it been since you've headlined?
Yeah, this is the first tour period since 2016.
Oh, okay.
So it's been
a
better
couple
part
years.
about 2 years, yeah. And yeah, I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to it. 2 years not being on the road kind of takes its toll on me, because I just, you know, whenever you tour, it's like the grass is always greener on the other side. Once you've been out on the road for like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, a month,
And then you want to go home.
you're kind of like, yeah, you know what, sleeping in my own bed would seems pretty nice right now, or getting away from these other 8 or 9 dudes who I see every day would be kind of nice.
Yeah.
But then when I finally get home, like after a week, I'm like, I don't know what to do with myself.
No, go back to regular life.
Right. And I get like a little stir crazy and weird, and like, you know, sometimes even my wife is just like, dude, you need to get the fuck out of here.
Do you have a day job of some kind?
Not an actual day job, because God forbid I get one of those. But I do other stuff related to music in my spare time. I do, when the opportunity arises, I have a lot of friends in like the film world.
Okay.
So sometimes they call on me and my I guess my writing partner, Tony, who's one half of the duo Dance with the Dead, which is they're like at the forefront of the like synthwave thing that's like gaining steam right now.
Yeah, my girl's really into that stuff.
Yeah. But anyway, so he and I will get together, and sometimes we get like hired to do like music for like indie films.
Oh, okay, like
stuff
scoring
that.
and stuff like that.
Yeah, a lot of it's kind of like mostly like source music, like since they can't pay for the license for like the original whatever song it may be.
So you're doing like weird covers of them?
Kinda, yeah. We're kind of just like
the karaoke versions of
right.
them?
Like if somebody wants to use like I don't like Ace of Spades by Motorhead or something, obviously they can't pay to use it, so we'll kind of write something that's in the same vein.
Gotcha.
And then they just use that. But it's cool though, because it's, you know, I get to basically just kind of sit around and just kind of get creative with stuff that I might not normally get to do music wise, like, you know, kind of delving into just other stuff that isn't the quote unquote metal core thing that, you know, I'm mostly, I guess, associated with.
Yeah, I mean, is that something, would you want to start doing more like score soundtrack work like later on? Because I'm assuming, I mean, you're in good shape, so you'll probably tour for another 10, 15 years, no problem. But eventually, you'll get to the point where you don't want to tour and do the thing.
That's the other weird thing too. Like, I remember touring in my 20s, and you know, I like halfway through the tour, I'd start counting down the days till I get home. Mm-hmm. But now it's kind of weird because like I'm in my late 30s now, and it's like if I'm home too long, like I said, I get like stir crazy. I feel like I'm just wasting space sitting at home. So I want to get back out on the road and, you know, start being productive. For a lot of people, it's the opposite, where, you know, they start touring in their 20s. They just want to hit the road nonstop. They don't care because you're young, you know, you don't give a fuck. But then when you're mid to late 30s, you start winding down where, you know, for me, it's kind of the opposite. It's really weird.
Well, that's good. I mean, at least it's positive for you, and it's good for your career right now. I mean, it seems like you guys are ramping up for probably a long cycle for this album.
We're hoping, yeah. Our last cycle, we kind of shot ourselves in the foot because we kind of put a stipulation that, you know, we'd only go out for like 2 or 3 weeks and then come home for 2 or 3 weeks, which is nice, but it's not very... The logistics just don't work, you know, because, you know, if you want to like get on a, like I would say, like a package tour of some kind, nobody's going to want to take you out for only 2 or 3 weeks.
Right. Those are usually a couple months, right?
Right. Yeah. So I think this time around we're going to try and do it right and actually, you know, put in the road work.
And okay, are you touring in a bus or a van or what's the situation?
We'll be in a bus, yeah.
You'll be in a bus?
Yeah.
I was talking to, who was it I was talking to? From Black Tusk, James, and he was telling me how he can't handle the bus situation. Mm-hmm. Like, even though it's nice, he's like, after a couple days, you just want out. Like, how do you feel about the bus? Like, I personally, we were talking about it on the way up, I have claustrophobia. I can't really handle those bunks. They're kind of like coffins to me.
In a weird way, sometimes I find myself just kind of being at my comfort level is really high in a bunk. For some reason, because you're in this, but I do understand the claustrophobia aspect of it for sure. Right. But you know, you can close the curtain and you're just shut off from everything, which sometimes I think everybody needs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm a fairly social person, but after a while, like the Psycho weekend, like I was having a blast all 4 days, but Monday came around, I'm like, I don't want to talk or see anyone. I came home, my roommate was like, hey man, tell me about the day. Nope. Leave me alone. I'm going to just smoke some weed and pass out and not talk to anyone for
I'm the same way whenever I get back from a tour, like my parents or my wife or friends are like, how was the tour? Like, what'd you see? I'm like, you know what? I'll tell you in a few days. Yeah. Just leave me alone.
Give me a week.
Yeah.
Let me get home. And then, you know, when you're on the road like that, you also suffer from dealing with different time zones.
Right.
So just getting readjusted to your lifestyle. I mean, I was talking to my buddy. Do you know Adam from Killswitch?
I've definitely met numerous times, but you know, I don't have his phone number or anything.
Oh. Not recently. In the last 3 or 4 years, we've become really close, and you know, he tells me stories about, like, he's a tall dude.
Yeah.
So those bunks suck for him for his knees, and then like he's out in, like, he was in Europe with Iron Maiden for like 3 weeks, came home for a week, and then back out to the UK with Iron Maiden for another couple weeks. And it's like, how do you live? Come home from that different time zone.
Right.
You're up at like 4 a.m, like, what's going on? It's bananas, man. I don't think I'm cut out for the road anymore. Yeah,
there's a definite, you know, like you said, an adjustment period to getting on tour as well as getting off tour. Mm-hmm. You know, like you said, time zones, jet lag. Usually when you're on tour, you have some kind of schedule or regimen or routine that you do. And then literally overnight, it changes when you get home. And that's when the adjusting period starts.
Yeah,
you know,
especially if you have like a wife and a family,
right?
Like, you know, you have to get on their schedule as well.
Yeah.
And you're married. How long have you been married?
4 years.
Nice.
4 years.
You have kids?
No kids.
Is there a plan?
It's not on the radar.
Okay.
Right now, we've never said that we don't want kids, and I ain't getting any younger either. So. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I'm a fairly social person, but after a while, like the Psycho weekend, like I was having a blast all 4 days, but Monday came around, I'm like, I don't want to talk or see anyone.
Yeah, we'll see.
Very cool. Yeah, I've been with my girl for 7 years, and we're like, how about a dog?
Yeah,
Dog sounds nice.
I have a cat. I have a little cat, and she keeps us busy and up and running. So that's cool for now. But who knows what'll happen.
When you're on the road, what do you like to do when you hit a town? Do you just prepare for the show, or do you like to go out and explore? Do you look for food or like a gym? I don't know. What are you into when you get to a town?
Yeah, pretty much anything that kills time, because touring is essentially just like, weeks of hurry up and wait, so yeah, if there's like a really cool spot to eat, we'll go hit it up. Or if there's, just basic touristy kind of sightseeing stuff like that. If there's a gym, if I can muster up the motivation to get there and do it, that's always an option. But also too, there's, some places, where you shouldn't, walk a block in any direction.
Right. Yeah, there are some of those neighborhoods around here in LA for sure.
For sure. So you kind of have to pick and choose your battles.
Yeah, man. It's I've did that exploring part of my life when we were on tour, and we ended up in some precarious situations. Like, we played a really tiny town in North Carolina. There was maybe 2 blocks of buildings and then nothing.
Yeah.
And forest,
Right.
And we ended up in a crack house of some sort. And we played the show. We played the show, and we ended up playing late because obviously shows run late. And when we got out of the show, we were like, man, what are we gonna do? It's a 12-hour drive to the next venue. Like, we should probably sleep or do something. And this lady's like, oh, you can come to my house. I live right across the street. We're like, oh yeah, that sounds great. Let's do that. We walk in, and there's no door to the building.
Jesus.
There's no door. And I remember everything so vividly. I walk in, to my left, it was the kitchen. The lights were off, but I could see from the outside light a pile of what looked like chicken bones or just bones.
Just straight up Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Food, just piled up. Then I kept walking. There was a door, and it was a room filled with baby toys. No babies, just toys.
Wow.
So then I kept walking. I got to the living room. There was a couple on a couch. I don't know exactly what they were doing, but it was very, they were just making out and touching each other and all that. And there was an old lady on a lazy boy just watching them and the TV at the same time.
Wow.
And I walk in, I'm like, hi. And the lady and the lazy boy is just like, hi. I would get up, but I just smoked some crack and I can't get up. I'm like, cool. Where will we be staying? And there was no answer. So I found a corner and I sat down in the corner. My buddies were outside messing with one of the crackheads, I guess, filming it or something. There was a girl out there, and they were just asking questions and what's going on here? Why is there food everywhere? Why are there toys? And then the lady that invited us walks in, and I'm like, hi, I would like to shower if that's an option. And she's like, oh yeah, shower's upstairs. I went upstairs, and the tub was filled with feces.
Oh my God.
They had some kind of stoppage and whatever. They just never cleaned it. And I just remember going back downstairs, telling the guys, guys, we should probably leave. This is a very bad idea. We should get in the car and leave.
Yeah, there's a lot of red flags.
And all of my friends were like, whatever, bro, stop being a pussy. Okay. So I sat down on the floor, and I passed out sitting down, and I woke up to this big black dude kicking me awake. I woke up, I'm like, oh, what's going on? And he's like, who the fuck are you? I'm like, oh, we're in a band. We played across the street. And he's like, you got 5 minutes to get out of here. I'm like, okay. I just got up, found the band members that were all around the house, in corners. I'm like, get up, we're about to die. Let's go, let's move. So you do get in these crazy situations when you're in small neighborhoods in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I remember, back in the day, on our first few tours, it was very common to just, halfway through the set announce between songs, hey, if anybody's got a place to stay,
right.
We're looking to crash somewhere. And, like you said, you can get into some fucked up situations because of that. you know, because you don't know the area, you don't know these people that you're staying with, essentially.
Yeah.
And you can, it can be, you know, fucking just downright scary. But on the flip side of that, you can also fucking score.
Yeah.
You know, we've been in a few situations where, you know, not far from the one that you were talking about, but we've also been on, like, you know, somebody, oh yeah, you can crash at my parents' place, you know, I have it for the weekend, blah blah blah, and it's just like this sprawling like estate,
nice,
with like an east wing and a west wing and a gigantic pool and like
that's great,
a shower with like 3 heads, and you know, you don't want to leave.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Can we just stay here for the rest of the tour? Yeah, I mean, we had a few really nice, like Louisiana was really good to us. Arkansas was really good to us for some reason. We played Conway, Arkansas, and there was like 150 kids lined up outside to see us. And we're not a big band. It's just that's all there was to do
in
that town.
Yeah, yeah.
And we ended up meeting a kid, and he was like, yeah, you can stay with me and my mom. It's perfectly fine. And we got there, and it was shady at first. It was like 30 cats outside. And I'm like, oh, no. This is a bad idea already.
Yeah.
But we got in, and super nice. Like they had all like different bed situations for us and showers. And then we woke up, it was full on breakfast for everyone. Yeah. And like I was like, all right, this is nice. This is good.
Food is key.
Food is key, man. Especially, you know, nice people that want to offer you their food is something that you're lucky to find on the road. Yeah.
It's a gamble, you know, staying in some stranger's place.
Sometimes you don't have a choice, though. I mean, like after a week of, well, you know, you guys are on buses now, but I'm sure in the beginning, I mean, you guys were in vans, right? So after a week or so in a van, it sucks, man.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, our first tour ever was in a 15-passenger Ford van, but we didn't have a trailer. Mm-hmm. So
all the gear was in there?
All the gear was in the back, as well as all of our personal stuff. Jeez. And our merch.
Wow.
And we didn't have, and it was the summer of 2002, I believe. Mm. And we didn't have any air conditioning. So, you know, we're driving in the middle of July through like Texas, but we had never toured before, and we were all pretty like naive and young. So it was like, well, this is what tour is. Like,
yeah, that's what you got to do.
Yeah, get used to it.
Yeah.
You know, embrace the suck. You know what I mean?
Embrace the suck. We spent a lot of nights in like Walmart parking lots and running in there to shower like in the sink.
Yep. Yep.
So you joined the band in 2000, around 2001, 2000?
I think it was late 2001. Yeah, because I remember 9/11 had happened, I think, just after I joined the band.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where were you when that happened? I had another follow-up question, but now I want to talk about this.
I remember I remember I fell asleep the night before with my TV on. And you know how when you're in kind of like a REM state of sleep, what you hear, you end up kind of dreaming about. So, you know, like 6 a.m., the morning news was on, and they were, you know, a plane has hit the World Trade Center. So I was having weird dreams because they were saying terrorist attack and bomb, or, you know, explosions. Right. Yeah. So I was like dreaming about all this weird fucked up shit. And then I woke up and then like turned on the TV, and they said like, you know, a plane has hit. And I thought it was like maybe a little Cessna plane or something that like somehow like a freak accident or something.
Yeah.
But I mean, and obviously that was not the case.
No. And did you, I'm sorry, did you say what state you were in? Like,
I was in Orange County.
Oh, okay,
I was still living at home with my parents. I remember having class. I had to go to class that morning. And when I went to Cal State Fullerton, and when I got there, it was like a ghost town. And, you know, the people that were there, they were all just like on their phone, like either telling somebody what had happened or receiving the information that, you know, the World Trade Center is gone. And like people were like freaking out. And like, I remember getting to class, and I remember it was some kind of communication class, and the teacher or the professor was like, at the time, because we didn't really understand the gravity of it all, because it had just happened.
Right.
Our professor was just like, you know, remember this day, because like
it'll be history.
Yeah, like this, like what has happened today, like that shit doesn't even happen in movies. Yeah. You know, so it was a heavy day for sure.
Yeah, dude, I was in New Jersey.
Okay, so you weren't obviously not far from.
No, so my mother woke me up. I was staying with her. This was after obviously like high school graduating and like trying to figure out what college was going to look like. And I think I'm going to go hang out with Mom for a bit. And she woke me up. She's like, Eddie, a plane hit the Twin Towers. And in my like half asleep state, I was just like, that happens all the time. Just don't worry about it. Like we've had little planes crash into the Empire State Building. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And I went back to sleep. And she comes back and she's like, Eddie, wake up. It's on all the channels. I'm like, all right, fine. I wake up. I put on the TV. I see the smoke. It was the first plane. And I look out the window and I could see the smoke from the tower. I'm like, oh my God. So that sucks. And then it collapsed, like the other plane hit live while I was looking out the window.
Really? Like, so you actually saw the plane?
Yeah, I saw another like explosion. I didn't really see the plane because it was kind of far.
Okay.
But I just saw another explosion. That's when I turned to the TV and I saw that there was another plane. I'm like, what?
That's
okay,
nuts.
now, this is not a coincidence.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? I thought it was just, a shitty little, plane hit the thing, and then that's when it freaked me out, and like the terrorist thing, and it was nuts, dude. I didn't go to school for like a week or two, or not school, but just I didn't do anything for like a couple weeks.
I think most of the country just kind of
froze up,
stopped, because of that for a little while.
And you joined shortly after. So what was that like? I mean,
I joined before 9/11, like just before 9/11.
Right, and you joined right before, and then it happened.
Yeah.
Was the band already established at that point? Or were they, a known name, or were you guys building it,
A little of both. Atreyu was already obviously a band and had been playing shows in and around Orange County. And prior to me joining, I was aware of Atreyu, and I ended up working at Hot Topic, and that's how I met our singer Alex. And
did he work there too?
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
And we got to know each other, and he knew that I played guitar, and he's like, my band's looking for a guitar player. Come by on Sunday, like learn these songs. So I was like, yeah, cool. And then so learned the songs. Went to the rehearsal, like met everybody. I basically came in like as a complete stranger. But then, I hit it off well with all of them. And, I remember I think it was like after we were done practicing, they were just kind of, okay, well, see you next Sunday. And I was like, I guess I'm in the band.
But okay. But the singer was working at Hot Topic. So obviously, because the band is huge. I mean, I personally I didn't grow up listening to the band, but I always heard the name. It was everywhere. So the band was this big deal, but not while he was working at Hot Topic, I would say. So I guess my point is that you were there for the explosion of the band.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, on a technical level, I'm not an original member, but as far as like people hearing the name of the band and discovering the band, I was in the band at that point. Okay.
And how did that happen? Like, was it a label person that found you guys at a show, or like how did that all, like, when was the switch over from, hey, we're in a van to, hey, we're headlining and playing in van, or touring in a bus and all that good stuff?
It was kind of, from my standpoint anyway, I figured, we'll play shows, we'll record an album, maybe do a couple tours, and then we'll all probably just go back to school or work. That was pretty much the way I saw it panning out. But it was just kind of like one thing led to another, like did our first tour, like I said, in summer of 2002, literally came back with like $300. And so it was like,
you did good.
Well, yeah.
I came back negative 2,000.
Yeah, in that aspect, I think we were pretty lucky. But then, we got offered another tour after that, and it was with Snapcase, Boy Sets Fire, which was like a huge deal for us because
I love Snapcase.
Yeah, I mean, we all grew up on a lot of the Victory Records roster.
Yeah.
So that just helped us gain more momentum. And then we did tours after that and so on and so forth. And I think like probably like late 2002, 2003, that's when people like really, we were kind of like on our way up and out of the quote unquote underground.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, it wasn't like, definitely wasn't an overnight thing, but it was like a somewhat quick
like
upward.
it was a steep upward trajectory.
Yeah.
That's interesting, man. And I'm just wondering, like, when does life change for you in terms of, do you get to walk around and like at a show and not get bothered?
For the most part, yeah. I'm pretty inconspicuous, you know, and when I walk around, I usually have my head down anyway. And, you know, I can walk down the street or, you know, in front of my own show and most people aren't going to notice. So
nice.
It's kind of it's a blessing, I think.
Sure.
You know,
I mean, you look like you're in a band just because of the sleeve tattoos and everything. So,
well, nowadays, I mean, this is like,
are those relatively new?
Within the past 6-7 years.
Okay. All right.
It's again, you know, it was a slow process, but as for, you know, tattoos, like having 2 sleeves is nothing. Like, you know, I mean, obviously, like,
yeah, that's
kids
mandatory.
who are like 17 are getting their face tattooed now, and you know, this is nothing.
I don't understand that. I don't understand that whole culture.
Yeah, the
like,
SoundCloud rappers. Yeah.
Yeah, like I get certain people like Brent Hines from Mastodon doing it because that dude's a wild man.
Right.
But these like young kids that don't know anything, like you really better. You're banking all your eggs on this little SoundCloud account you got going on.
Right.
Like, what happens if that fails? What happens if mumble rap is not a thing in 4 years?
Yeah,
So,
I mean, you know,
now you have an ice cream cone on your face. What are you doing?
yeah, being young and dumb, you know, it was fun.
Yeah. Well, so you were there when I would call like rock music and metal music was at a huge boom. Like they were everywhere. It was on MTV. It was like the biggest thing. All the music festivals. Like I was in Florida, so we had like Zeta Fest. Zeta was a rock station there. And they had like the big ones, you know, with it's Godsmack and Disturbed and Linkin Park and all this stuff. And nowadays, I feel like that's not like I feel like rock music is not dying, but it's just not where it was anyway. Like the biggest, and you got people like Beyonce wearing like metal themed shirts now. So what is it where's the disconnect that pop artists are using metal as part of their, I guess, aesthetic, but the fans aren't following into like listening to these bands?
Yeah, I mean, overall, it's just a weird, and I mean, I guess I could say interesting time for music, especially, you know, rock and metal or any kind of aggressive music. But I think, you know, like you were saying, like all these pop artists kind of, I guess, appropriating it's kind of like a fun nostalgia thing for them, but they're not giving any real respect to the actual music. You know what I mean? Right. I mean, you know, you see like pictures of Chris Brown with his denim jacket with all these like, you know, like municipal waste patches on it and shit like that. Like I highly doubt Chris Brown is like
a freaking crusty punk.
Right. Exactly. So, I mean, if anything, I mean, I guess, I personally just take it at face value. It's just they're, you know, it's just a cool look, I guess, whether they're really about that life or not.
Yeah. Well, I guess my question kind of derailed, but I guess my point was like back in the 2000s, early 2000s, there were people coming out to big metal shows. Like there were these Zeta Fests that I'm talking about, they were slammed.
Yeah.
And now Warped Tour is gone because they can't sell tickets.
Right. I think it kind of comes down to the way people listen to music and consume music now, which is obviously, you know, streaming. Yeah,
Spotify's and the...
Yeah, it's literally at the, you know, the click on your phone, you can listen to literally anything you want. And when it comes to live shows, some people will just, you know, I'll just watch it on YouTube.
Yeah.
and skip the ticket price, skip the
line,
skip the line and all that. Yeah, I don't know what, if there needs to be a change or how to change that, or
I feel like maybe it doesn't need a change, but I don't feel good about it. I don't feel good about, the few people that are actually making it to shows rather stand there and film the whole thing on their phone.
Right.
And I'm not one of those guys like, leave your cell phone at home and never use it. Cause I film
Right.
bands when they play,
Yeah.
but I do like, if there's a breakdown part that I really like, I'll just pull the phone out real quick, record that, and then I'll share it on Instagram, and that's it. But I'm not standing there filming the entire set on my phone like a lot of people do.
Right.
Or with the flashlight on too, which I love that one. That's my favorite.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Like, if you want to pull out your phone and get like, a 15-second clip or even like a minute clip, well, cool, whatever. I don't care. If you're gonna film the whole thing, I mean,
Get a real camera.
Right. Yeah.
And then talk to us about putting it out.
Yeah, exactly. But, it's a sign of the times we live in. And,
I just hope that whole long, like, rock is dead. And I hope that doesn't actually happen because it feels that way. And I mean, there's a lot of bands coming out, so I'm excited about that. But
yeah, I was reading not that long ago where they were saying, the sales of guitars are down significantly. But then I read something not that long ago as well that said, guitar sales and actual instrument sales are on the rise again now. So I think it's very much a ebb and flow of things. Like with anything, things go away and then they come back.
Sure.
And then they go away and they come back. So.
Well, I've seen a rise in going to NAMM and stuff every year. Like I've seen the kind of a rise of the signature guitar. You have your own. I don't know. Do you still have that deal with ESP?
I do have a signature model, but it's discontinued.
Oh, okay. So now it's rare.
I guess.
Now you can sell them on eBay for $4,000 or whatever.
Which I will not see a penny of.
Yeah, it's crazy. A lot of people don't consider those deals. They think that you have your signature guitar, so you're rich. You're all set.
Definitely not the case.
Or they see you like on a giant tour and they're like, oh, you're all set.
Right. The public perception of, especially nowadays, I think, of like touring musicians is very inaccurate to the way it really is. Like I've been touring obviously since 2002. So that's like, 16 years now. And I'm by no means, rich. I still, look for deals. Yeah. And, I have to pinch my pennies and stuff, especially, nowadays. So, yeah, the public perception it's definitely, I kind of think it's funny how inaccurate people's views are of what we do. Like, a lot of people think it's just a 24-hour party.
Right. Yeah.
Sometimes it is, but more often than not, it's
actually more of a special occasion type of deal where, like, my fiance, she gets worried sometimes when, like, I go hang out with a band, like, oh, we're gonna hang out backstage. She's like, oh, the groupies and party and drugs. I'm like, actually, everyone's on their laptop,
right,
answering emails and talking to their family via Skype.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's not as glamorous as most people would think it is. I mean, maybe obviously, in the 80s, I'm sure it was, but
like Aerosmith, whatever, Motley Crue days. But
right. But even then, like, those bands were, in the stratosphere as far as popularity goes.
Yeah, they were packing out arenas and stadiums and stuff.
So they could pull that off, but those days are all around are pretty much long gone. Yeah,
there are no metal bands or rock bands that are filling up stadiums aside from, like, obviously the classics like Metallica,
right,
or anything like that. But there's no new metal or rock band that's filling up an arena unless you consider Coldplay a freaking rock band. I don't think they are anymore.
No. Well, I mean, you have like your Avenged Sevenfold's Five Finger Death Punch, or like even Volbeat.
Are they selling arenas in stadiums, you think?
I mean, they're doing well, that's for sure. But like you said, there's only a very small handful of bands that can do it.
Yeah, that's true. If you could book your own dream tour, who's on that tour?
Oh man,
And we could do 2 if you want. Do like living and dead.
Living and dead. I would love to tour with Metallica, because that was the band that sent me on my way.
Okay.
Like, I remember, I've told this story numerous times, but I'll tell it again. I remember like being a kid and seeing the One video.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anything about metal. And the only thing I did know was from MTV, because, you know, I grew up in the 80s and MTV was pretty much...
Well, they were playing music videos.
Right, when they were actually playing mostly music videos. So that's how I discovered a lot of music. And when I saw that video, the One video, it was the complete opposite of what I may have thought metal was. Because at the time, it was like, you know, your Wingers, your Warrants...
Hair metal-ish.
Big hair,
Yeah.
big lights, huge stage. And that video was not that.
No, that was very dark.
Right, and extremely depressing. And for some reason, I don't know why, it just resonated with me. As in 1989, I was 10. So with to a 10-year-old kid to see that and have it register with him, that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
And, you know, first time I'd ever seen double bass and heard, you know, palm muting, like the real rhythm, you know, obviously that Hetfield right wrist or right hand. And,
downstrokes.
Right, yeah. And I was floored. I was like, wow, what is this? And from there, I kind of started seeing what musicians in a band do, like how a drum set is like, this is the hi-hat and this is the kick drum.
You started paying attention to
right,
it. Yeah.
and you know, the bass, it looks like a guitar, but it's not really a guitar. And you know, you start kind of like learning these things.
Yeah, yeah.
So anyway, they would
touring
be
with Metallica would be
that
the
would
one.
be a definite bucket list thing for me. I don't think it'll ever happen, unfortunately. But
you never know.
I mean, who knows?
They're still touring like crazy, and
that's true. Yeah,
you guys are about to hit the road and hit the cycle. So who knows?
Right. Man, I can't think of any others.
Any
Just
newer younger bands that you'd maybe bring with you? Obviously, aside from the ones that you're touring with right now. Yeah.
Man, I like, you know, like Vane, I think are awesome.
They're bringing back that 2000s new metal hardcore thing.
Right.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I dig it. It's cool because it's, you know, they're obviously a newer band, so their fan base will probably, I'm assuming, figure out where that sound came from and probably backtrack and, you know, discover, you know, like Disembodied or discovered a Shai Hulud or like Earth Crisis or whatever it may be, you know.
Yeah, I showed Vane to a buddy of mine, and he was like, "This sounds like Spine Shank." I'm like, "What Spine Shank song sounds like that?" So I can go get it, because the ones I've heard do not sound like that. You know,
right?
Like they have some new metal aspect. Like there's a little bit of the drum and bassy samples and that and the kind of power chord chuggy parts, but it's pretty sporadic and crazy too, like Dillinger-ish. You know?
It's not, verse, chorus, verse, bridge. Yeah, like you said, it's kind of all over the place. Which, like you said, back in late '90s, early 2000s, that was a sound that already existed. Yeah, and now it's kind of coming back with these younger bands, which is awesome. Yeah, like Code Orange is another one that's just doing that. Mm-hmm. If you were to put yourself in a genre, what would it be? Man, at this point, like right now, I just like when people ask me, what I do, I tell them I'm a musician, which I still feel weird about saying. Like, you know what I mean? Like, somebody like Prince, that he was a musician. Billy Joel, he's a musician. I'm just a dude that can kind of get around the guitar and make loud noises, and people tend to like it. So yeah, but I think that's because you're a nice guy. You're humble. I'll chalk it up to that. Yeah. But as far as when people ask me, what do you do? I tell them I'm a musician. They say, "Oh, what kind of music?" I basically just say it's loud rock. Loud rock music. Yeah, I mean, the whole we got associated with the whole metalcore thing for years, especially, like early 2000s, mid 2000s. I think that was my phone.
Okay.
But, we kind of strayed from that sound, especially over the years, getting older. There's only so many breakdowns we can do. There's only so many, circle pit parts. We can do that in our sleep, no problem. So, our sound, like we were talking about earlier, it definitely has evolved. There are elements of metal, rock, punk, all of that stuff is still in there, but it's just in a different form. So just to make it easier for everybody, I just say we're a loud rock band.
All right. And are you guys, what label are you guys on right now?
Spine Farm Records.
Spine Farm.
Yeah.
So there, and were you ever in a situation where, because like I said, the band got really big, was there ever a situation where the label was trying to interfere with the writing process? Like, you guys got to do this because this is what's selling, or anything like that?
When we were on a major label, there was a little bit of that, like, not to the extent of, you guys need to scrap everything. We're not, we need X, Y, and Z. But there were some instances of, we're not really hearing a single.
There's no, we need more hooks.
Right.
You need that chorus 5 more times.
Exactly. But I think in that aspect, we kind of lucked out because it wasn't as bad as it could have been.
Yeah, man. I've had buddies that crazy nightmare stories like, oh, your drummer needs to lose weight.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that too.
Like for us, I mean, we did I don't even remember his name right now, but we played in front of someone. I forget his name now, but
like a showcase kind of thing.
Yeah, he worked for Sony, and he made us play a few songs, and he's like, I fucking love it. We're gonna take you guys to the fucking moon, blah 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 blah. But
okay,
here are my notes.
Yeah,
and it was a completely different thing. Like, he completely changed choruses and completely made it, like, it was more of a radio friendly, more of a, like, our music was it was all over the place. It was all various different influences of anywhere from Tool to Pantera to, Bjork, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
But he was trying to make it like a thing, and we just bailed. Like, nope, rather not make it than fucking do that to ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, good on you for standing your ground.
Kind of wish I would have gone for it though. Would have more money right now.
Even then, I mean, there's no guarantee.
Yeah, that's true. Like, you do all the things, and then they launch you, and it doesn't take off.
Right.
The band, the fans don't pick up on it, or whatever it may be.
Yeah, there's so many bands that have been shelved or have, numerous records that nobody will ever hear just because of that reason,
Yeah.
So
I had some, let me pull open the Facebook questions that I got from some friends. So the Mike De Maria from Galactic Empire and Illustrium wants to know, let me get this wording correct here. Close this. All right. Sorry. He wants to know, is it nice to no longer be trapped?
I played in the band Trapped for about 1.5 years.
How was that? Like, how did that happen?
Their Trapped's bass player recorded my other band's first EP.
Okay.
And that's how I met him, and we got along really well. And this was during the time when Atreyu was kind of on hiatus.
I want to ask you about that too. So, we'll go back to that. Yeah.
So he knew I wasn't like really doing anything actively musically other than this like side project thing. So he hit me up and asked me if I wanted to play, and I was sure. Like, I'll go out on tour, get paid to play guitar. Like,
hell yeah.
Right, exactly.
And play a song that was huge on the radio.
Right.
Freaking Headstrong song was everywhere.
Exactly. Yeah. And I didn't, other than like, those big singles like the Headstrong and all that, I didn't really know their catalog at all.
So you had to learn all that.
So I had to learn a bunch of stuff, which was, a pretty big undertaking for me because I was, for about 90% of their set, I'm the only guitar player.
Ooh. Okay.
And I was so used to, looking over to my right and seeing Dan, or Atreyu's guitar player. So that took, that was a big learning curve for me.
And it was only for like a year or two?
About a year and a half. I was basically acting as a touring guitarist.
Okay.
And just the style of music, I kind of went into it not cocky, but just like, yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it's rock music. I can kind of pretty much play anything if I put my mind to it. But there are actually a lot of tricky parts to their music that I wasn't expecting. So I kind of had to like adjust the way I play and, you know, adapt to it. But yeah, I mean, you know, and also as far as the music goes, like I said, I wasn't very familiar with the catalog so much. But when you hear something enough over and over again, it kind of grows on you. And, you know, I was kind of like surprised. Wow, these are actually like really well written songs, catchy songs.
Yeah, I mean, some people like to hate on shit you hear on the radio and whatnot, but there's a reason it's there.
Right.
It's really well crafted.
Yeah.
For a lot. I was explaining. So my girl doesn't really. She loves music, but she doesn't know the intricacies. She doesn't know how to play any instruments, and she doesn't really understand how certain notes trigger certain things in your brain. So you know, when you're writing a song that's meant for the radio, there's you have certain chords and notes that you use in a certain formula that makes it catchy, that makes it hooky, so that you can remember it. Because that's the whole point, is for you to
create an earworm.
Yeah, when you're done hearing it, you are still singing it in your head, and you want to hear it again and all that. So it's very, very complicated. Like they like to say that pop music is simple, but no, it's not. Grab any super intricate guitar player, like a Between the Buried, grab Paul Wagner and ask him to write a pop music song. It's going to be hard for him.
Right.
You know, even though he's a beast.
Yeah.
It'll be hard for him to write a hooky pop song. You know?
Exactly.
So going back, what happened during that break? Why was there a break? And then also, what were you doing during that break?
I think at that time, we're coming up to like 2010. We just needed a break because, I mean, pretty much since day one up until that point, it was, you know, got to write a record, and you got to record the record, tour the record, and then repeat.
Okay.
So we were doing that for the better part of 8 years straight. And, you know, two of the dudes are married at the time. We all, you know, had homes that we'd never really lived in.
Right.
Because we were on the road so much. So it was just a good time to kind of like step away from it for a little while. We didn't know how long the break would be. Whether it was like a year or 2 years, ended up being 4 years. And it was definitely good for us, I think, because at the time we were just kind of fried. Like,
it happens, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I remember just kind of phoning it in at each show, like not really getting excited to play. Like I was talking earlier before, like, you know, like now I'm stoked to get out on tour. Back then it was just kind of like, oh, fuck.
Well, you allowed yourself to miss it.
Exactly. Yeah. And each other too.
And each other.
You know, there was a time where like certain dudes weren't really talking to other dudes
in the band.
Right. And I mean, there's no animosity or anything, but it's like with any kind of relationship, you kind of just take for granted that that person's always going to be there. And you kind of have to, at some point, reassess your relationship with them. And, you know, like you said, just flat out just need time away to miss this person or working with this person or being around this person again.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's kind of where I'm at right now with my band. Like we were active for 10 years and then took a break. Everybody kind of split up into different states, and we're on year 2 of the break right now, and it doesn't look like it's going to be another year or 2 maybe before we even, like, we always text each other like, we wrote a whole album before we quit.
Oh, really?
Before we called it quits, it was like, we have a whole album's worth of music. We should probably go record that and put that out somewhere.
Well, at least, you know, like when we
come back, we got something.
Exactly, right, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. It's one of those things. We all burned out too. Everybody was just so broke and just tired of all the, you know, shenanigans, and, you know, everybody wanted to get an established life underneath them, which has worked out, I think, pretty much for everyone. I think our guitar player just had a baby, so he's all that's his life now for a while. Yeah. Let's see here. Another question. How does one actually become the bull? That's from one of your songs, right? Becoming the Bull.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm still trying to figure that out myself. I wish I knew.
Someone responded with, by going to USF, I suppose.
Okay.
Okay, I don't know what that means. I guess that's their mascot in USF.
Oh, okay.
Bull mascot.
I gotcha.
Bob Bradley, who, funny enough, I met him and you at the same time. Our buddy Vadim invited us all out to like a social experiment type of deal, where he hit up Facebook. Was like, let's get together and talk like humans.
Right. It was very refreshing. I must say. It was.
Yeah, it was fun. I got to meet you and met Bob, and he's asking about carrot cake.
So, somewhat long story longer. I gave up drinking about 4 years ago, almost 4 years ago.
All right.
Basically, I'm an alcoholic.
Oh, okay. So it's not just a beer; it's 10.
It's all of them.
Yeah, it's all the beers. Gotcha.
But because I quit drinking, I developed this like craving for sweets all the time, because obviously your body metabolizes alcohol into sugar.
Yeah.
I stopped doing that, and my body's like, dude, where's the sugar? So now I'm like, if there's like any kind of like cupcake or cookies or anything essentially bad for me, I'm gonna want to eat it. And carrot cake is definitely at the probably a top 3 on that list.
Okay, all right. I like carrot cakes. They're delicious.
I think it's a very underrated cake.
It is. It gets a bad name. It gets lumped in with fruit cake, which I don't like.
Yeah, I can't get down with fruit cake so much, but carrot cake, I don't know. It has to be like a good, like homemade, like moist and
fresh carrot cake.
Maybe some
You don't like the ones that are like wrapped in saran and like at the gas station.
It's basically like a sponge with frosting on it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll eat that too if that's all I got to work with. But
So how do you balance that out for yourself? Because you're in good, like I mentioned earlier, you're in terrific shape for your age. Like, I've never been in the shape you're in. So like, how do you, and your love for sweets. So how do you like counteract that? Like, do you allow yourself to have the sweets and then just work extra hard in the gym, or like how does that work out?
I don't like, as far as like working out and shit like that. Like I'm not like a gym rat.
No, you're not like protein shakes and all that.
I mean, I do, but it's just, I don't know, like, I don't count calories. I don't count like how many carbohydrates I'm going to be eating.
You're not on a specific diet, like a keto or...
No. I just try and eat sensibly.
Okay. You're not vegetarian?
No.
Okay.
I have kind of toyed around with the idea, but the convenience is just not there, unfortunately, which is a shitty mistake, or a shitty excuse to not be a vegetarian.
Well, I mean, it's hard. It's expensive.
It is. Yeah. Vegan food, like when we went to go eat vegan food, like it wasn't cheap.
No. Yeah, it was a funny night. We had vegan food, and then we went and got donuts.
Vegan donuts, yeah.
Vegan donuts. Yeah.
But yeah, like, I just try to eat as sensibly as I can, and then once in a while, if I want a slice of pizza, I'm gonna have a slice of pizza. If I want,
that's the way you should do it.
Yeah, I mean, I know some people who are just like, no, absolutely no, junk food whatsoever, and like, that's just not a life worth
living. Living. I mean, I guess for some people it'll be kind of like alcohol would be for you, where like you can't have one beer because then it's all the beer.
Right.
Some people might be like, I can't have a slice of pizza because then it's a whole pizza, and then it's a pizza every weekend or something. For me, it's been weird. It's been a weird challenge to. I've been up and down. When I was in the band, I was like peak skinny. I think I was 215, 220, and even then, like according to the BMI charts, like that's fat.
Right.
But that was the skinniest I'd ever been, and I looked weird. I had a big head. I was just weird and lanky. It was just strange for me. And then I went vegan. I went raw vegan even for a girl, and just eating like seeds and. Flax crackers and avocados, like it's just. I mean,
I guess in the long run that is better for your body, but is it for your mind? Is it really that good for you?
No, it's torture, and I got really sick from it too. I wasn't getting enough, I guess, some iron. I don't know what protein. I don't know what it was, but I got really sick from it. So I went back to just eating how I wanted. Then I had a bad car accident, which we talked about, and. I blew up because I couldn't move.
Right.
I was locked in a bed for 6 months.
Yeah.
So I ballooned up and then slowly been working my way back. And as I get older, I'm having to cut things out. Like I can't do dairy anymore because I get really bad stomach aches. Mm-hmm. And I recently, like a week ago, discovered that pork is no longer an option. As much as I'm Cuban, I love pork. It's the thing.
Pork, I try and stay away from too, just because I don't know. Like the thought of eating a pig just kind of breaks my heart. You know, I
used to have a pet pig.
Okay, so
and it's that my girl doesn't understand how I'm able to eat pig having a pet pig, but it's just they're so delicious. I don't know.
Bacon is good. I'm not going to deny that.
Not just bacon, but like Cubans do a lot of the roasted pork thing where they put it in a box. And, and that it's just I can't deal with it. It's so tasty. Hold on a second. I'm going to edit this out here, but should I ask this?
I mean, I can't give too much information on that, other than my own experience with the subject of.
All right. Well, I'll ask then. So, Alex Leon, who's in bands in Miami and hardcore bands, good friends of Poison the Well and all them, he wants to know how much of a piece of shit Tony Victory is.
He's a very interesting man. I mean, we haven't had any contact with Mr. Brummel in years. But even back then, he kind of seemed batshit crazy, and I don't think he's gotten any better from what I hear.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know the state of Victory Records now. I mean, is it still the label it once was?
I don't think so. Yeah. I mean, I in terms of popularity, I don't think so. I'm sure they're still signing. Yeah,
I know. Crazy. There's definitely still signing bands, but I don't know how much like clout they have, or how much influence they have. If it's the same as it was 10, even 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a very interesting guy. I'll put it at that.
So a little birdie tells me you guys are working on a beer.
Yes, that is correct. We'll probably kind of be like coinciding with the release of the record.
Okay.
I can't really say with whom we'll be working with or what it's going to be called or what kind of beer it is.
All right.
But there will be something. It'll be like a limited batch release. Okay. Just kind of see how it does. But yeah, we met with a few breweries. It's such a hard word to say.
Especially when you're drunk.
Oh, for sure. And which is kind of ironic because we were talking about before that I can't drink.
So how are you going to deal with that? I mean, are you going to at least taste it?
I can't even do that, really. I'll try. See, because the thing when I did drink, I wasn't that much of a beer guy. Every once in a while, I might enjoy like a Sapporo or something like that. But for the most part, it was like clear alcohol. Like my go-to was Bacardi and Diet Coke. And like it was kind of the ongoing joke. Like whenever I'd make somebody else a drink, it was called the Travis Miguel special because it was like 98% Bacardi and like
splash.
At best of Diet Coke. So yeah, but yeah, it'll be like I said, probably be released around the same time as the album.
Cool. Well, you heard it here first, guys. But keep an eye out for official announcements. So tour dates. You guys are on tour, like I mentioned earlier, with Memphis May Fire, Ice Nine Kills, and Sleep Signals all through November.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Starts November 9th, I believe, in Phoenix, and we're basically just going to be doing a big loop around the States. So starting in Phoenix, going through Texas and through the South, and then up to the Northeast, and then back around. And tour will end in Anaheim, House of Blues.
Nice. I'll probably be at that one.
Nice.
I try to avoid LA shows. So I usually go to Anaheim or whatever Orange County shows I can go to.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like the, being born and raised here in Southern California, it's completely spoiled as far as shows.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there's pretty much a show on any given night in this area, in the surrounding area. So it's just like, I don't want to drive to all the way up to LA. Like, Whereas, people in the middle of nowhere will, drive 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
And,
Well, I grew up in Florida, in Miami specifically, where no one ever goes to Miami. It's one of those things, bands usually skip it because it's a long drive down there.
Right.
You don't really know what kind of turnout you're going to get because it all depends on the night with Miami.
Right. Out of all the years we've been touring, I don't think Atreyu's ever played Miami.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
I saw Queens of the Stone Age play Miami, and Josh Homme got on the mic. He was like, "We fucked up not coming here before because we've never been here." And like, oh shit, yeah, they've never been there.
Yeah.
It's I get it. When we were there, I was different. I would get mad like, why don't you play Miami? Yeah, it sucks. It's an 8-hour drive all the way down there.
And then all the way back out.
And you don't know who's going to show up. And if there's an electronic show or something, conflicting, it's empty.
Yeah.
But I when I moved here, I was all stoked. Like, oh my God, there's so many shows. I'm like booking my calendar's full of shows that I'm going to go to. And now 2 years in, I'm like, yeah, I don't know, man. Maybe I'll catch you in Orange County.
Right. Yeah. There's always that rationale in your brain, like, oh well, I can catch him some other time.
Yeah, I don't want to go and park in LA. It's
right.
$30 and pain in the ass
and the traffic.
And then also a lot of these shows that I go to, thankfully I'm not religious, but I'm blessed that a lot of the bands are friends. Mm-hmm. But LA is filled with suits.
Yeah.
So every time I was like, hey man, I'm going to come check you out. They're like, I can't help you. Like,
right.
I got all the
label.
Yeah. So it's a nightmare to even. So I just said, fuck it. I'm going to observatory shows, Glass House, maybe.
Yeah.
Keep it in Orange County. It's nicer anyway.
Right. Yeah. Parking's a little easier too.
Yeah. So new album, October 12th on Spine Farm?
Spine Farm, yep.
Spine Farm Records, In Our Wake. Go on YouTube and look up In Our Wake, the video that's out now if you want to hear it. I'm probably going to put it on this episode so people can hear it too. Thank you so much for coming out, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. And guys, please don't forget, like, share, and subscribe. Follow Atreyu on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and email.
At Atreyu Official.
At Atreyu Official.
Yeah.
Okay. And you don't want people to stalk your page?
No, you can follow me too. At Travis Miguel.
There you go. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Cheers. Sky.